Boom, and we're back.
What's up?
What up? What it do? And we are back for the third,
Fourth.
fourth,
Fourth episode.
fourth. Damn. All right, going strong.
That's pretty good.
What's been going on? How's your week been? I mean, your week's been a
Crazy as
little
hell.
stressful.
Touched on it last week, and this week's a little bit calmer, a little bit better. Cat's doing good now. Got him some really strong medicine. He's eating again.
Well, it's good that he's eating.
Yeah, that was one of the bigger scares I've been put through in a while now, huh? That's not fun.
Yeah, I mean,
Help stuff with pets.
closest thing to like your child without having a child.
Yeah, for real. Yeah, that was rough. Completely out of nowhere, super unexpected. And I don't do good under stressful situations like that.
Funny, like right as we were just having like deep conversations about kind of just like trust in the universe.
Yeah. Hey man, I'm not gonna lie. I did like lean into. I'm not gonna lie. It obviously the human side of things and it's the anxiety and all this takes over and yada yada yada. Um, and there was a lot of like hyper stressful moments where it's not like questioning, but more of like worry and concern
Yeah.
and I definitely leaned a lot into my newer found tools and faith esque stuff, you know. So that was definitely a help for me. That helped me a lot. I did a little bit more talking with mom. I like the name it and tame it stuff.
Yeah.
Like actually naming it verbally to mom helped a lot. And then, you know, practicing what I preach and really just going with the flow and accepting whatever's gonna come and preparing myself. It's what's the saying? Preparing for the worst and hoping for the best.
Yeah.
That's
Prepare for the worst, expect the best. Or yeah.
It's something like that. It's expect the worst. I think it's prepare for the worst,
Yeah.
but hope for the
and
best.
Hope for the best. Yeah.
So, yeah, that was good.
Well, on the other side of that now, on the getting better every
Yeah,
day.
now we're
so-
looking back on it.
Yeah. Just another testimony to like just trusting and believing in the and like what's gonna happen and just being positive about it.
Yeah, trying not to like question or like trying to anticipate what may or may not be or happen, and just taking like everything at face value and just rolling with the punches.
Yeah.
So that's pretty good. I think it's pretty good. Shout out to mom for being there and helping a lot and answering questions, like especially like with medicine questions and stuff, with giving
Yeah.
medicine to the cat, and so that's helpful. I feel bad because it really messed with her sleep schedule. She was
Yeah.
like up all night and shit.
Yeah, I could imagine, but hey, I mean, that's what family's for.
Yeah, what her mom's for.
That's what having a family unit is for. But you said you had some good idea you were pondering over as far as topics.
Yeah, so let me I want to pull this up as just so I get the names of these correct. So big anime fan, huge anime fan, and I would say probably in the top 3 for me personally is, bear with me here. In the top 3 anime of all times, like that I enjoy personally, is probably Code Geass. I wouldn't put it at number 1. I would sometimes maybe drop it down to within top 5, like 4 or 5, but it's usually I hold it really, really high. It came out, I don't know when, like early 2000s maybe, like later 2000, like 2010 maybe. I don't have the numbers pulled up and the years pulled up or anything, but I watched Code Geass way back when. I probably watched it 2 or 3 times, and I watched a bunch of the movies. I thought they were all, you know, decent. I thought none of the movies topped the show, in my opinion. The first and second season. What is it? The English title's not here. It's I just want to make sure I get this right. Lelouch of the Rebellion. Season 1 and season 2, and there might have even been a season 3. I don't remember how they broke it up, but what I was thinking, like the topic that I wanted to bring up, comes from last night. I just finished Code Geass Rosé of the Recapturer or something of that. I think that's what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
Which is 12 episode season that follows a little after the original, and like the movies take place somewhere in there and yada yada. I think there's another like miniseries, but I think it's a grouping of movies that I didn't watch. I was looking through the my anime list stuff last night,
Mm-hmm.
and so I finished it last night. I was watched like 3 or 4 episodes a night, and it's okay. Um, but the topic that kind of popped in my head that I figured would be a cool like conversation piece is are yours and my opinions on um, sequel culture, right?
Mm.
So like starting here with Code Geass, I wouldn't say that Rose was bad particularly. I wouldn't say it's really good.
Mm-hmm.
I looked at the score on my anime list, and the originals got like 8.5, 8.7, and then this one got like a 6 point something, like a high 6, almost a 7, and I would like agree with that
Mm-hmm.
rating. Um, Again, I don't think it was bad per se, but it it I feel like they probably shouldn't have made more.
Yeah.
I think that they were just making more to make more or to
Yeah,
try to
to go,
like
yeah, just to run on the what is already kind of built and just capitalize off that.
cuz like I'm assuming you have no idea what the show is.
Yeah.
I would recommend giving it a watch, the original shit. Um it's like a fantasy uh near future like world, um like the technology that they use, giant mech robots and stuff.
Oh, okay.
But the main character, Lelouch of the original, he ends up he's like, spoilers for anybody who hasn't seen this show in the last 2 decades or however long it's been out, but he's a secret prince to the what is the Britannian Empire, which I believe the depiction of it is like it's all of North America and then most of Europe, and then they own like a large portion of like South America and Africa, and they take over different sections of the world, and they're like essentially like the dictatorship of the world that they inhabit.
Mm-hmm.
And so he is one of many heirs to the throne, but he is like living in secret, and he ends up being gifted this power called Gias, and it does cool things. And
Hmm.
without like going too much into any of it, there's kind of like a mind control aspect to it. But then it's like a lot of it's like a chess game. It's like rebellion versus the oppressors, and they go back and forth with giant fights and stuff. And
Okay.
it's pretty cool. I enjoyed it a lot. I really enjoyed it, and most people did. Um, but I think that they kept making more and more periodically to kind of like the nostalgia factor. A lot of people really liked the original.
Yeah.
And then the premise of it is cool in the sense of mech shows generally do well. Like even as far as like Attack on Titan, which is a mech show, it's a mech show. Okay, just flesh mechs, um, fleshy mechs. But then like this like godly power that's called Gias. Lelouch has one version of it, and then it's like expressed that there's other versions that can be had. So as they like made more and more different movies and like seasons and series and stuff on the main line of it, like
Mm.
the franchise of it, they kind of lean into it's like a similar. The way that the power works is similar, but it's got like small variations. So like one might be from sight, one's from like
Oh, okay.
sound, so on and so forth. So in the original, it's kind of like more of a plot device, and in this one, I felt it was less of a plot device, and it was more of like a tool that they use here and there. Again, it's only 12 episodes versus I think the first season of the original is like 24, and then the second season is like another 20. It's like a lot more episodes.
Mm-hmm.
But I finished it last night. After that long-winded explanation, I finished it last night, and I sat on the couch for a little while, and I like looked up some reviews, and I like looked at some other stuff of the franchise, and I think that media as a whole, like movies, shows, games, so on and so forth, have a big problem with sequel culture. And I think sometimes it works, and I think sometimes it doesn't. And I think a lot of times companies lean into the nostalgia factor, or like it's a cash cow. So like a quick one is like
Yeah.
Marvel.
Yeah.
There's like a billion Marvel movies.
Yeah.
So I was just curious on if you have opinions on sequel culture.
I think, I mean, yeah, my opinion on it is I don't just making sequels, like just like the idea of it, I don't have a problem with. It's like the intention of making the sequels that I think is very clear on if it works or not. For example, if it's like, obviously, if the person who created the first one isn't creating whatever the sequel is, if it's just somebody new creating sequel just to do a sequel, I think there's a high chance of it not working or connecting because it's not the original person creating it. The intention for creating it, like if the story, if you have a story that like whether it's a show or a movie, whether it's a show and it's like X amount of seasons to tell this story, and the story ends there, and it's not like, I don't know, like the story ends a lot, like, I'm trying to think of an example, but I can't top of my head. Like, that's where it runs into like the sequel not hitting the same. You're also fighting against like that initial. If you have fans of the first thing, like you're. I feel like you're always gonna love like the first. It's hard to like the second variation or like the sequel of something as much as you have, because you're fighting against like the nostalgia of, even if it's like recent, but that love for the first thing. I think sequels work really well when it's like the sequel is planned in like the writing of whatever the thing is. Like early Marvel, I think like the first three Iron Man movies, in my opinion, work really well because
I agree with that.
they were like they were planned to tell this story through these multiple movies. It wasn't like now where it feels like they're just adding like, obviously it's connected to the comics, but when you're in like when the plan is for the X amount of movies, it makes sense. But yeah, when you're just kind of using these same characters that you know have this built in, people like these characters already, and you're just throwing them in other situations, or like almost retelling, a lot of sequels are almost just retelling the same story. You like start to lose it, like I don't know, like Mission Impossible for me. I wasn't like a huge fan of them, but to me, the recent ones are good, but I've watched a bunch of them and they just kind of all, like, I don't know, they kind of bleed together to me.
They recycle stuff?
Yeah, it doesn't stand out to me. Nothing against those specifically, but it kind of just feels like it's the same story, and it's like,
Like a copy paste?
yeah, it doesn't, like just sequels in general I don't have a problem with, but yeah, a lot of times it does come off and it just feels like it's like they're just getting money because you have this built in. It's easier to create a sequel of something, I feel like, than just to come up with an original concept, because it's more risky because you're introducing new characters. You got to figure out how to introduce these characters, how to make people like them, versus like, oh, we already know people like these characters. We'll just make another movie with these characters in, or make another show with these characters in it.
Yeah, a couple of the examples that come to the top of my head when I was thinking about it last night, like obviously the Marvel films, but then the Star Wars franchise, the movies, not the comics, not the games, not the animated shows, none of the other stuff really, because like if like with the Star Wars stuff, the way that I'll classify the trilogies is the original trilogies, the prequel trilogy, and the sequel trilogy. The original trilogy is phenomenal, and like they made the first one, and then I thought the sequel was good, and I thought that sequel was also really good, and then that trilogy as a whole, right? And then they made a sequel to that, which ended up being the prequels, which is the prequel trilogy. I know that's divisive. Some people like it, some people don't. I personally liked it a lot, but when we were young, those were the Star Wars movies coming out at the time, so we like grew up on those ones.
Yeah.
And I thought those were good, but then I thought that the sequel trilogy is too much like recycled nonsense. I felt like they tried to include a lot of like modern day like political aspects to it, which can be good, it cannot be good. It depends on if the story benefits from it, right?
Yeah.
So I thought that one was a good one. And then like games do it too, and TV shows like Code Geass and stuff. And then I had another one. Fast and the Furious. Like
Yeah.
I'd say the first four films were pretty good. The first one was phenomenal. Second one was okay. Tokyo Drift was pretty good. And then they started to really kind of go downhill. Not to say that none of them individually was really bad or really good,
Mm.
because they like then they got like Dwayne the Rock in there, and then they got Jason
Yeah.
Statham in there, and they had all of these massive actors
Yeah.
who individually are like the stars.
Yeah. And it like yeah, because with the sequels, you risk like not ruining like if like the first ones that people love so much, but like for lack of a better term, like tainting it almost of like you're making people worn out from these things because sometimes like a good story, like as much as you want more of it, like the story being complete and just leaving it there as complete makes the story good versus keeping it running on to where you're like you don't like you almost start to care less about these characters because it's just like running on and it like it wears you out from the characters. I don't know if I'm explaining that well, but
I get what you're saying.
yeah, because it like something about like the story just ending and it just being that it's like it like I feel like a good story, whether it's a movie, show, or even a game, it should leave you like you should want more for just because you like it so much, but that doesn't mean you should get more. It should just
Hmm.
sometimes the story should just end and it should be that
Yeah,
that's the story. That is the thing. Um,
I'd agree with that.
yeah,
I agree with that heavy.
like I think sequels work well if you kind of just develop the universe. Like let's Fast and Furious for example, like Tokyo Drift I think is a good example of it. Like maybe like of just like they had the universe build these characters and you pull one or two characters and then it's in the same universe,
Hmm.
but you're not just using the same characters and the same exact thing
Hmm.
and like just reskinning it almost, which is a different problem. But like you pull one or two characters out and you show something else going on in the universe.
Yeah,
Like I
that's
think
cool.
with the Star Wars universe, The Mandalorian does that good. Where it's like
I
to me,
agree.
I got bored of Star Wars like as they went on and like I know like I was never a huge fan, but like the more recent ones I didn't really care about. But I think The Mandalorian's dope because it's like you still get that benefit of like the familiarity of like the world. Like you don't have to reintroduce like the not physics, but like the rules of this world and like the
Hmm.
universe. But you can but it's new. It feels refreshing. Like The Mandalorian like is feels refreshing. And as somebody who wasn't super felt like a little worn out from Star Wars, I'd watch that and be like, oh, this is dope. Because you still have that like you understand the universe, but now it's all new. It's something else going on, and whether it's in a different place or a different like I think that works really well. And like going like Tokyo Drift, it's like it connects to the story, but it doesn't feel like it's just like you're not losing. Like I don't need to see this one because I saw the last one, and yeah, there's a different villain, but like it's gonna be the same kind of thing. It's kind of
It
use
doesn't
the
feel like forced.
yeah
Yeah,
yeah
yeah, yeah. Yeah, that's a good one. I like that. The Mandalorian was really good. Yeah, like going with what you're saying, I think it's cool that if they have an established world
yeah
and people want more, it's like the comics of it all. Does this really well. They might have one or two characters come in,
yeah
but they're showing other aspects of the world. Like maybe you're on planets you haven't seen before, or it's
yeah.
different characters interacting and things like. I think that's really cool.
Yeah, because that keeps you excited because there's always like this little bit of you that's like you pick up little things like, oh, this is how it connects to the other story, but it's not just like this is clearly how it connects. It's just back to like Fast and Furious. It's just like
Hmm.
that like it starts to feel almost reskinned. It's like, but yeah, like you're in the same universe going like, and you understand what's kind of the how everything works and you like and it is nice then when you in the thing you see like a character or like they introduce another like a character from the original whatever and it's like oh yeah cool and then how it
Hmm.
ties in and but tying it in correctly going back to not just creating the thing for like just shoving people you know in it just so people like oh I know this person so I like it but like introducing them right where it like tells the story correctly
Hmm.
like Fast and Furious started becoming like just like action movies and kind of trend like became what they didn't start as. But I do like how they tied in like when Tokyo Drift came out, to my knowledge, I obviously don't remember when it came out, but just watching them back, like obviously it's in the same world. You know Han. It's like, oh, that's Han from the movies. But then they tie it in nicely with Vin Diesel at the end. And then I like personally how they reworked like it into the story where Jason Statham was at the thing and like
Yeah, yeah,
that
that was
was a
cool.
nice tie-in for a sequel versus just like I like when it almost jumps around like that and it connects these things, but it's not just like
Hmm.
feels like they're just put another thing as like reskinning the same thing and reskinning it.
Yeah, they like tie the universe together.
Yeah, but not in a forced way where it feels like. I mean, some people might feel like that was forced. They just,
Yeah,
oh, he was just there, like he just.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, like finding a way that's like original story in the same universe. Like that's the best way I
Mhm.
think sequels should be. It's like an original story, but in the same universe.
Yeah, I think I like it was kind of like bothering me a little bit last night, which is why I was thinking about it a bunch after I finished the Code Geass Prose, because I like when I consume content of pretty much any kind, as long as I like slightly like it a little bit more than like 50%, I like I'm always wanting more. Like if they make one movie of a thing and I'll watch the movie and I really enjoy the movie, I'm like, oh, I wish there was more to take and blah blah blah. So like I understand that aspect of a lot of people's feelings for things,
Yeah,
but I'm one who like really appreciates like not like a one and done, but like a good conclusion, like a good ending. You know what I mean?
yeah,
Like a good example. There's a bunch of the movies here, but the Harry Potter movies, there's a bunch of them, but there's an ending to it. So like if they were to continue the Harry Potter universe, which
yeah.
they did with Fantastical Beasts, I think it's called,
It's in the same universe. Yeah,
but it
I'm pretty
doesn't
sure.
it doesn't like follow those movies specifically with those characters.
Like you need the ending, having it like there was some sort of like yeah like having a story that like Mike Posner says it in one of his songs that's what makes me think of it that like we like humans just like they want an ending, a story that just kind of runs on. You you the more and when it starts to run on too much, you almost stop caring about this ending, and it makes you like stop caring about the thing so much. It kind of like in my opinion, like a lot of artists who like music artists who pass away not early like earlier in their career or like those people become like legends not easier but like because there's like an end to the story and it like you can't
Oh
get more and it
yeah.
ends it and it just creates this like some of it like you said you like having a strong conclusion but something like yeah like there's definitely is some like in my opinion, if you weren't left wanting more, even if there is a good conclusion, if you aren't left wanting more, I don't think you created something like the more the people are like, I wish I had more,
Mm-hmm.
like the stronger the story and when connection to your story that you told was. But that doesn't. It takes a like the creator or the writer whoever to really be able to figure out like the point. Like yeah, just because people want more doesn't mean we should just give more to make more money.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes it like they should want more, but like yeah, like this thing is complete here. Like
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you want to just equate it to like getting some like deep, like I'm trying to think of like a example of it, but yeah, like having a finishing off the story, but like you should always like a real fan of something should always want more, but it doesn't mean they should get more because if you keep getting more, like yeah, it becomes like a run on where it's like you start to even if you love the things, I feel like they'll get almost burnt out or
You like
stop.
appreciate them less.
Yeah, yeah, something about it having that like finite amount. Like, there's a random example. I don't know if it translates well, but I'm watching the show Suits right now. Like, it's like a lawyer show, and like the first couple seasons really hit because the plot that was going on. But then like the main problem that was tying the original ones through, it's kind of coming back now. But like I'm like halfway through the whole show. I think it's done now, but it's like 9 seasons, and I'm like season 5 and I'm finding myself not being as engaged as I was at the
Mm.
beginning because it's just starting to feel more run on where it's like if it ended at like this earlier point, not that it should, but like it feels like it hits harder because now it's just I'm still watching it just to figure out just to see where it ends, but I'm not as engaged watching it. Like it's not it doesn't hit as much. Um, where like I think Iron Man kind of ending Iron Man is like they did it at a good point where like Robert Downey Jr. isn't Iron Man anymore. Like they kind of it hit and it cements it and versus like letting it run on and kind of burning you out to that character or that story.
Yeah, I like that metric that you brought up of like, if like the fans, that the audience isn't left wanting,
Yeah.
then it's like,
Did you really create like yeah like
yeah,
if
yeah,
they feel
yeah.
like
I
some
thought that was
yeah like
good.
yeah they definitely like you should always want more like all my favorite stuff like Howl's Moving Castle as just like loving Howl's Moving Castle I'd love like if I knew I'd love it but like then you were like it risk is it gonna run on like it doesn't always that way like you could
Yeah,
drop
yeah.
another one and it could hit but then it's like you got lucky with that one, and then so you do another one just because there's fans, like
Yeah.
you're gonna risk the burnout. Something about like that's why I really like just one off movies because it hits even if it ends on a cliffhanger. Like don't make another one. It's just like it feels complete and it just like
Mm-hmm.
gives you this nice like wanting to go back to it and like that kind of feeling versus just letting it run on or like Call of Duty using games like.
Yeah, yeah.
No Call of Duty hits like it did when you first played it, and like the fans who first played the ones, like you might play them just because you're a fan of Call of Duties, but it just feels run on because it's like
Yeah, yeah.
at a certain point, it's just like we want something new, and it like and like a good way to do that, like we going back to just in the same universe, telling another story or finding a way to like do something else, but you can still use that same universe, like Harry Potter with the Fantastic Beasts, like create something that still you're able to use that universe, but not have it just run on this story that should like have a nice end to it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I'm also a really big fan of like you said, the one-off movies. I'm a big fan of like when directors and creators and people who make movies and shows and art and music and so on and so forth, when they do a bunch of like riskier stuff where it's a one-off or like one season or it's one
Yeah, like a
show, one
limited
movie.
series things. Yeah,
I think
like
that's cool because like if like using Studio Ghibli as an example with all the different movies that they have, like none of them are really they're not in a universe together. They're
yeah,
all like their own one-off movies. So like they're able to just keep trying and doing new things and different things and it keeps it fresh. I really appreciate when like creative individuals do stuff like that.
yeah,
Not to say that sequels and sequel culture can't be a thing. What I do think is cool though is if that you have like an established something that like has like an ending to it, and then like a bunch of time passes, and then they're like, you know what, let's as long as it's done correctly. Going back to
yeah,
how it was we were stating it before, if they bring it back like they do one more, like they just kind of they don't recycle the story,
yeah,
but they like almost nostalgia for the fans,
yeah.
like down the line a little bit.
Yeah, I think the sequel. There's nothing against sequels. They just I think there has to be a purpose, and the purpose shouldn't be just getting more money off of the fans you know that exist. You should almost take away from like forget if you're gonna if the sequel's an option, you need to not look at it as if there's fans of this thing. The same way when you first created the first one,
Mm-hmm.
when they created the first Star Wars, they weren't thinking like, what are the fans gonna like? The fans of this gonna love? Like, obviously, that's not to say like disregard the fans, but you can't like you can't be like going into creating a sequel because you're trying to capitalize on the attention that is there for this thing. It
Mm-hmm.
needs to have like there needs to be a purpose to the sequel, like whether there's like another story in this universe that like should be told, or
Mm.
something more to it, not just like like something about leaving, like having a good ending. But I just I keep thinking as we're having this conversation, I think about like The Sopranos. I watch The Sopranos, and it ends on like one of the craziest like cliffhangers of a show, and it's like super debated. And had they like
Have they
went
answered
back
that
or the answer,
question?
yeah, it probably wouldn't have like impacted so much and like left this imprint in your brain so much. Like at least to me personally, like I always think back to The Sopranos. Had that
Mm-hmm.
been concluded and just like and like it rounded off like an ending, it wouldn't like I don't know make you want to go back to or like almost ending it like not ending it prematurely, but leaving it a little where it's like there like you could answer this question, but leaving it there like creates something in the fan, at least for me, that it like it keeps your interest in this thing even without like just running on the story.
Yeah, yeah. But I want to say, I want to add that for certain things, I think it's more like acceptable or like okay. And a good example that I have off the top of my head would be like the Pokemon show.
Hmm.
Um, I think that the reason why that works so well for being like tens and 20, however many seasons that they're on now,
Hmm.
is for Pokemon specifically, they sell games. So every game they'll come out with like the new season or whatever that
Hmm.
introduces the new region and the new Pokemon. But then also for Pokemon again specifically, it's like a kids show. So it's like cartoons. And there's kids every year. So
Yeah.
like as they can keep producing it as you're not selling to like this group of people, and then you're selling it to them as they progress. It's like
Yeah.
as they progress through their life, they'll probably keep coming back to it, but you're always kind of like pushing to a new audience of the same like type. You're always like selling it to like the kids
Yeah.
because it's a kid show. So like I don't know what the release schedule for
Yeah.
Pokemon is, but like say it's every year. They can do it almost in perpetuity
Yeah.
because you have this like fan base that will automatically cycle itself. And I
Yeah.
think something like that.
And I think that having that mindset goes to the point I was making where it's like you had to create as if it's new eyes, this new thing you're trying to
Mhm.
capture people with, and having that mindset where it's like we're not trying to cater to these people that already love this thing. Like obviously those people are, like come along, but like it's a new generation. Like we're reintroducing this to people who haven't seen it before. So that like
Mhm.
is the same mindset of like making a sequel where it's not like, oh, I'm just making a sequel to capitalize on the people that are here already. I'm trying to make a sequel that you can watch and get enthralled in this universe, in what this thing is.
Yeah. Another one that comes to mind. I didn't. I watched the first 2 seasons, but it's the Witcher show.
Mhm.
Now that Henry Cavill's not Geralt, I have like zero interest in watching it.
Mhm.
First season was phenomenal. The second season was okay. Um, but I didn't. I don't. I think that they released a little bit more, and I didn't watch any of it. I don't think. I think 3 came out, and I didn't watch that for sure. But I think like something like The Witcher. There's books, there's games, and now there's a TV show. Um, I think that something like that needs a like an ending to it because like even though it's not called Geralt, it's called The Witcher, and in the universe of The Witcher, the Witchers are like a section of a group of people that go and they perform tasks and they have like a role. So like you can lean into all of the other aspects of it. And if they did something like that, I think that as long as they do it well, I think it could be really good. As long as they don't like harp on trying to bring everything back to the character of Geralt in one way, shape, or form. Like
Mhm.
they don't try to create a new Geralt. They don't try to like
Yeah.
introduce him in all of the new episodes
Yeah.
and stuff. Um, but I think that like when the show came out, and then I think that they should have like chosen a finish point. Like the books ended,
Yeah.
to my knowledge. There's 3 games. I don't think there's gonna be any more games. They made a spin-off game, but that's like a card game. Um, whereas like if they were to try to milk that, I think they would lose like everybody.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think like yeah, it's just all about when the story is being written. It's like when you're writing a story, and then like a movie or like the shows run into the run on problem a lot because it's like you might write like shows that just keep running on season after season, like story based shows. You probably when you started the show, you have however many seasons planned out from when you write this thing, and you get to the end or like midway through, you continue writing them, and it's like that's where you're like the initial storyline or whatever you were writing had an endpoint and you're kind of just adding on to it to keep the thing going. Um, and yeah, that's where you get a lot of the run on. Or like, I can't imagine when they made the first Fast and Furious, they had 10, the plot for 10 written out, but the movies where sequels work well, it's like the first movie came out, but they already, when they wrote the first movie, they had the second, like they knew where it was going. So they would, it wasn't created with the mindset of capitalizing on the fans of this. It's like when they make a one-off movie and they go, "Oh shit, this got a lot of fans. Like now let's make a second one." I feel like you run into that problem where you're like creating this thing that just feels like you're trying to capitalize on the viewers versus like a writer like who planned something out from the beginning. Like these 10 movies, like this is how the plot's gonna connect. Like that doesn't feel run on. Where it's like talking about Marvel, where it kind of feels run on now. I think up until like probably like Infinity Wars, like all to me, all those movies from the first Iron Man and all the ones through were amazing movies because when that first one, like when they dropped that first Iron Man movie, they knew up until Infinity War, like this is the move, like these are the plots for these movies that are gonna like how it's gonna like be. So they all felt good, and now it feels like they got to that point, and they were like, "All right, we have all these fans what can we create to kind of capitalize on these fans versus like when they dropped that first Iron Man movie, they knew what they were gonna create without having the fans there until X amount of like until Infinity War.
Yeah. I also think sticking with the Marvel, um, I also think that where they kind of get it wrong, and this kind of like pulls, it's like a side to the sequel aspect of it, but you see it in a lot of the sequels, like with the Marvel movies. I think that when they step away from like source material a little bit, it kind of falls short. So like there's a lot of source material for Marvel because there's like hundreds and hundreds and hundreds, if not thousands and thousands of comics.
Yeah.
And there's like TV shows and stuff, but like the source material is the comic books. And like you were saying, the up until about Infinity War, whether they were like super true to the comic books or they were like a little bit more like made for the movie, which I'm assuming it's probably a fair mix of both. It can like work, but then when you get to the point like after Infinity War came out, and it actually I think it was a little bit before Infinity War came out, and they started making a bunch of TV shows. They're introducing characters that exist throughout the Marvel universe, but then like they like start changing things, and not to say that you can't change things when you're making stuff, because I think every artist, every creative individual wants to throw their own little twist into things, which is fair. I get it. But I think when they kind of like really step outside of the box of that was already established,
Yeah.
is where they start to go wrong too. Aside from just trying to milk the cash cow.
Yeah.
I don't have like a specific example off the top of my head, but I feel like there's like they'll like drop a movie or they'll drop a show or something, and they like lean a little bit into some of the source material, but then they'll like kind of left field it by like a large margin. For it could be a ton of different reasons why. Maybe it's to try and capture a different audience, or it's like maybe they felt that something of the source material is like not PC anymore, or like like they're trying to avoid something or they're trying to emphasize something else. And I mean, me as an individual who appreciates and really I guess enjoys whatever the art is for what it is.
Yeah.
I don't like when people come in and like change things a lot. So when I lose interest a lot if I'm watching something where I know it's like an adaptation and they like really change a lot of things. So like going back to using Henry Cavill as a good example, when he played Superman, I believe, he was kind of adamant on a bunch of stuff of like, oh no, he wouldn't act like this. He would act like he was like he was like really knowledgeable on the character and the universe, and he was the exact same way with The Witcher. Like they would be on set, or he would be reading the script, and he would go to like the writers and stuff and be like, "This wouldn't happen. Geralt wouldn't act this way," because he was like an avid fan of the franchise. He played all the games leading up to the show. He read all the books. Like he knew the universe and the character. Whereas like sometimes they just start to like divert from the source material, and like it can work and stuff. Like I give like a rough example. I don't know how well it'll work, but I think it kind of gets the point across. In the sequel trilogy for Star Wars, they like really changed a bunch of stuff from the source material. Like some things are still there, but some things really changed. So like my understanding is the original trilogy is like really, really similar to the source material. And actually that might be the source material. I don't remember if the comics came out before or after. I think the comics came out after. So that might be the source material. But then my understanding is the prequel trilogy is it like really fit the universe, and it like whatever source material that they had, they were able to build on it well.
Yeah.
But when the sequel trilogy came out, there was so much already established universe stuff for Star Wars, like for that time period, for those movies specifically too.
Yeah.
They changed the stuff for the movie. Like the character of Kylo Ren, I believe in the source material isn't exactly the way he is, because my understanding, spoilers to all the Star Wars fans that haven't gotten into Star Wars before, but my understanding is during the sequel trilogy time period, Han Solo and Leia ended up having 2 kids, not 1. And I think it was a male and a female. And again, I could be almost completely off with this, but I feel very confident that I'm remembering this at least semi-correctly. The male character and the Kylo Ren character are depicted similarly. They have like similar arcs where they kind of like lean to the dark side and then they kind of come back, and things like this. But they like really changed a bunch of stuff. Where like I think the way that Luke went about stepping away from being a Jedi Master and training people. I don't know how similar that is to the original. I think they changed some of it, and then the character of Kylo Ren is a bit different, and like they kind of like stepped away from it. And again, like artists and creative people want to have their own twist on things,
Yeah.
but I think it kind of like takes away from what is or what
Yeah.
is like
Yeah,
established.
at a certain point, like I get the wanting to have your own like artistic view on it, but if you're telling a story that's written, it's like that kind of goes with like making a movie, then somebody who didn't make the first one making the sequel,
Mm-hmm.
it like can hurt it because it's like you have this story or whatever kind of set, and now you're just shifting. You might as well make something original if you want to have
Mm-hmm.
your own like view on it versus like going off the source material. Like talking about Henry Cavill being a fan of things, like Ryan Reynolds playing Deadpool. He
Yeah,
was a
it's a good one.
huge fan of Deadpool and was very adamant on if he's gonna do it, it has to be the right way and be done how Deadpool would be done, and it has to be
Mm-hmm.
these certain things. Um, yeah, and it's like they like veering off the source material because that's like the storyline that was like based or like that was written like when you make. Yeah, I'm just gonna repeat what I was saying, but like when you make a movie or you have this plan for like 3 movies or whatever it is, and you have it written out together, and then the original script, even if it's an original movie that's written out and not based on like a comic or something, the source material is that original writing, the original script, and then you get to the end of these, and now you don't have source material to follow. That's where you
Mm-hmm.
risk creating just a run on because it's not following something. You're just kind of creating off of capitalizing on this fan base of things that are already here versus just creating original stuff.
Yeah, it was pretty interesting thought I was having, and like I finished the show last night and just kind of really like kind of let myself think about it a lot because I don't know. Again, I'm one who enjoys content the way that it was made or the way that it was intended, right?
Mm,
Um, like when it comes to music, I usually prefer originals over remixes.
mm,
I don't think that they're necessarily whack, but I think that the remixes feel more forced.
yeah,
Um, Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. Like
yeah.
a good musical remix that I stumbled upon, I didn't know was existed, and then I almost like it more than the original. I don't remember the name of the song, but it's a Tame Impala song. And when we were on vacation, Spotify played for me a Lil Yachty remix of that Tame Impala song, and I really liked the original, and I really liked the remix. I thought that it like
'Cause-
amplified it.
Yeah, because there's something like the same thing with the movies and remixing songs. Like if you're I think it's all about the intention and like the purpose of the sequel or the remix. If you're just creating a remix with the mindset of like I'm capitalizing on the love for this thing already, you're shooting yourself in the foot as far as making something that people are gonna like.
Mm-hmm.
Versus like a remix that works or you like is probably somebody who was a fan of it, and when they heard it, they have an original idea from this thing, not just like oh this was a big thing. I'm gonna create something just to use
Mm,
this thing to you get it to like gain its fans or whatever.
I gotcha.
It's like seeing like I think sequels with like if you make a movie, then there's somebody who's a real fan of that movie, then creates like the sequel to it that can work because it's like they're not just looking at it like oh this has a lot of like people who like it. I'm gonna make something so I can capitalize on that. They like it and they as a fan they see like oh this would be so cool for this to be continued here, this story in this thing to be told, or like I hear this song and I love it so much and it inspires this other thing. It
Mm-hmm.
should inspire more art, not like the idea that it has a fan base shouldn't be the reason that you create the part two or part whatever.
Yeah, it kind of becomes whack
Yeah, I
at
think
that
the
point.
intention is like the key on the sequel being good or not, or like the
I
remix
agree with
being good
you.
or not. The intent, like being a fan of it and like actually being inspired to create something else, not just seeing it and being like, we should make another one. Because like going back to the point of like the something that's good art should always like a great song should make you love like oh my god I wish there was more of this song I wish it was
Mm-hmm.
longer but it's like it should inspire and like you can make as part two or a remix or whatever if it inspires something original or inspires you to create something original off of that thing not just like use it to get more whatever from the fan base that is built there.
Okay, so I have two. I think one of them I think's a little bit better of an example, but I have two examples, and they go back to things that we've kind of lightly already talked about in other episodes. I think two good examples of like the sequel culture working well is Dragon Ball, and actually they did it twice in my opinion. I don't like not GT, but like with Super and Dragon Ball Z, I think they did it really well, and then with Kingdom Hearts. And I'll start with Kingdom Hearts. So even though like the first one came out and then I don't remember the release order. I think the first one came out and then Chain of Memories came out and then 2 and then a bunch of other spin-offs. And then they like linked all the stories, whatever. But if you're looking at the main games, 1, 2, and 3, they made one and they like had an ending to it. And a couple years later they made a second one. And they probably made the second one. I haven't like looked into it specifically what the reasoning was. I think it's probably a mix of like Square Enix wanted to make a second one because they still had access to the IP and maybe they didn't get to explore worlds and stuff that they wanted. But then the first one had a big fan base. So they made a bunch of like smaller games. And then many years later, like a decade later, they made a third one. So like they made another sequel, like mainline sequel, and I think it worked really well.
Yeah.
They had an intention.
Yeah.
And then the other example being Dragon Ball. The original Dragon Ball came out, and then a bunch of years later, they dropped Dragon Ball Z. I think they had good intention, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then they made GT, and then there's a bunch of movies in between all of this. I wouldn't really necessarily count the movies as like sequels per se. Then they dropped GT, and I don't think it definitely didn't do as well as the original or Z. But then like the way that Dragon Ball Z ended, it was like semi cliffhangery, but it was like a good ending to it because they wrapped up with the Boo saga, and then it was like a period of time jumps, and then it was like they all kind of come back together, and then they go to the next regular tournament, which is kind of like the start of Dragon Ball. They were in tournaments, and then they're back in tournaments, and then a bunch of years later, they made Super, and love it or hate it, I think that Super capitalizes like what Super does well. I think they do really well. They like capitalize on introducing new characters, and I think that like the tournament arcs are really good. The first one between the two universes, and then the end arc one with all of the universes, is really really good. So I think like they had some degree of an intent. It wasn't like that they were like, oh, Dragon Ball Z did really well. Oh, Dragon Ball GT did really well. Let's just make another one.
Yeah, having the intention. And then there's something there too, like letting some time in between, not just being like having like, oh, this blew up and has a bunch of fans, and we need to drop another one now. But like again, not just using the intention. It can't be, oh, because just there's a bunch of attention on this thing, we should make another one now. Like, there's nothing wrong with making the next one immediately after if there's like intention, if there's a purpose, if there's a story, if there was a story that you wanted to tell, you couldn't tell in the first one, or you didn't get a chance to tell. Like there's something there to like leaving some time in between so that whoever's creating it, like there's an intention. Like what is a story? If it's not coming, if it doesn't come to you immediately when the first one drops and is blowing up, don't rush to create the second one just to capitalize on the fan base of it.
Another good example, Legend of Zelda. There's a ton of Legend of Zelda games, and it's like most of them are like you play as Link, you fight Ganondorf, Princess Zelda's involved, but like Majora's Mask is a spinoff, and that's like the fan favorite. Twilight Princess, huge fan favorite. Ocarina of Time,
have an intention on creating them, and like if there is an initially intent, like sit with as the creator of the sequel or the original, like sit with it so there is a story you want to tell, not just don't figure out a story to tell just to capitalize on the viewers. There needs to be a story to tell for the remix or the sequel for whatever, and if it isn't there initially, sit with it and like create, like come up with it. Don't come up with a sequel because you need to, like the reason should be a story to tell. Don't tell a story just to capitalize on a fan base.
Yeah, that's a good one. I only thought of it as you were just speaking, and I'm looking here at Link. Because like there's a lot of them. Like Skyward Sword is a huge fan favorite, and that came out. They made them every couple years. Wind Waker was a huge one. Everyone loved Wind Waker. And then even like the two most recent ones, Breath of the Wild, and then Tears of the Kingdom. I don't think I think now with Breath of the Wild and Tears of the Kingdom, I think that it shows a good sequel and a bad sequel, right?
Mm-hmm.
And not bad in the sense of it was like objectively bad. I just think that with Tears of the Kingdom, they were trying to capitalize on Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, because they had this thing, and they rushed the story they were trying to tell to capitalize on it. Yeah, you almost like going back to the point of just you have to almost forget that there is because a good sequel, no matter how many years, like Kingdom Hearts, like 3, it was years after the second one.
Mm-hmm.
But if you have the intention and there's a good story to tell, even if it's 10 years later, you're going to capitalize on the fans of that first thing because
Yeah.
with that, if you don't burn them out from doing all the sequels, you can go 10 years and like those fans, apart from dying, are still going to be fans. But if you burn them out because you're going to like now, if Call of Duty dropped a really good Call of Duty, it would be hard to get the people who are burnt out back.
Mm-hmm.
Versus they had spent 5 years in between games, you lose less fans by adding that time gap, I think, than just shoving bad things in just to capitalize on them.
Yeah, yeah.
Like the fear of
To make that sale
the
every
fear
year.
of losing this momentum you have from this thing that blew up. I think the rushing something bad in the franchise hurts way more than taking a longer gap, in my opinion.
I would agree with that. Yeah, because like when I think of the Legend of Zelda games, I don't have all of the smaller ones memorized. Like I like Minish Cap is there and so on and so forth. But there, to my knowledge right now, there isn't really any direct sequel Zelda games to other games. I want to say that like Wind Waker and Phantom Tracks, I don't know for a fact. I don't think it's a direct sequel. I think they take place like in the same universe. Like they take place like kind of in tandem. But then like Breath of the Wild and then Tears of the Kingdom, that's a direct sequel. You're playing the same exact character, like not moments, but moments after the first game. The only one other game in the franchise that is a direct sequel isn't it becomes a spin-off, and it became one of the most popular games of the franchise. And it was Ocarina of Time came out, and then they made Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask is technically a direct sequel to Ocarina of Time because it takes place literally right after the first game. And my understanding is they had a bunch of assets. The company wanted to make another one with the assets or whatever, and somewhere in the higher up section of the company was like, well, you have they gave them like 8 months or a year to make a game, and they made the game, and they were like, all right, cool, we're gonna greenlight you, go ahead, and they finished the game and they put it out, and I think that one worked really well because they weren't like trying to capitalize per se on
The hype for it. They had the story they wanted to tell and had these assets and had these things they wanted to use. They weren't wanting to use them because there was attention on it, probably. That would be my guess.
Yeah, and it also in my opinion, they didn't recycle anything like at all because
Yeah.
Ganon's not in it, Princess Zelda's not in it. They obviously like all of the like assets from Majora's Mask come directly from Ocarina of Time. All the meshes, all the people, all the characters, all the items, everything is the same,
Yeah.
more or less. Because just like as I just stated, they wanted to do this thing. They gave them like 8 months, and they like threw it all together and they like released
Yeah.
it. But like in Ocarina of Time, they were telling the story of Link and Zelda and Ganondorf coming, taking power and ruling over. And then they had the time travel and Link and blah, blah, blah. Defeats
Yeah.
Ganon, goes back in time, whatever. And then like the timeline splits and then it gets really confusing. But then that one's direct sequel, Majora's Mask, you start the game, you're in the forest on your pony. He like passes out.
Yeah.
Skull Kid shows up, plays the ocarina. He's got the mask that he took from the mask salesman, and then Link wakes up, sees it, chases him, and that starts the story with a new antagonist,
Yeah.
a new location, like a
Yeah.
whole new everything.
Yeah, like I don't think there's it's not like a rushing in time thing. It just goes back to having the intention of it. It's like you could make a great sequel 8 months, like you said, rushing it. Oh, you only have 8 months. It's not about it's not just going back to not making it because for the right reason, making it for the right reason. You can make it in 4 months. It can be super rushed, but it's that excitement. Like you could probably, if the excitement, the person creating the excitement and the story they want to tell, and like these characters they genuinely love, is there, you could probably make 10, 10 sequels and they all be good if the intention is like the just pure excitement of being a fan of the thing. It's like
Mm-hmm.
that, like something about the fan, like a fan of the thing creating it. Like even if you're the creator of the original and you're just a fan of Link and this thing you created so much, you're excited to make this next one,
Yeah.
not just excited to make it because there's a fan base. It's
Yeah,
like
you can see the passion in the
yeah, it
project.
doesn't matter how quickly it could be. It could be the Call of Duty timeline where you make one every year. If you have the excitement, it's when you get to the point when you're 3 in, you're like the excitement's not there, and you're just doing it to capitalize on it. I think that's where you start to fall flat.
Yeah. I always thought that Call of Duty, they shouldn't have made one every year. I think they should have made one every 2 or 3 years, and then just like had the like the life
Yeah,
of the game, because it was like the campaign, and they always had multiplayer. I think that the campaign you can only really play once,
yeah,
and then the Treyarch games had zombies, but then you just lean into the multiplayer of the one. I thought that like for a huge Call of Duty guy, at least I was like forcing your players like, oh, you just sunk how many hours into this game this year?
yeah,
Oh, gotta buy the new one next
yeah.
year.
I mean, yeah, letting people sit, like making people want more, making them sit with that, I think also adds to the longevity of the game. Like Kingdom Hearts are only being 3 in how many years? Like obviously the other games in the
The
middle,
three
but like
main ones.
3 main ones over how many years? Like there's something that like me as a fan who hasn't even played the third one yet, and I'm just such a fan because it just like you're not burning them out. Like let them
Mm-hmm.
let your fans sit with that. Like I want more,
Mm-hmm.
because you're not gonna lose. You'll lose a lot less fans by making them sweat it out and wait for more and want more than just hitting them, and you're gonna lose your fans way easier that way than making them.
Yeah.
You're not gonna lose fans by sweating them out and it being too long after. Because like
Mm-hmm.
if the product is good, even if it takes 10 years in between, you're not gonna like lose that fan base.
Another good example that just came to mind, and I might get some of the details wrong, because when the company transitioned, when the game went from one company to the next company, I stopped kind of paying attention. So I might be missing some details, but I thought the Halo stuff was really cool, pretty much up until 343 got their hands on it, because my understanding was Bungie made Halo 1, it did really well. Then they made Halo 2, and that did really well. And then they made Halo 3, and that did really well. And then they were kind of like done with telling their story, because the story of the Halo games was Master Chief. Even though like there was like a whole other universe, the rest of the universe was all kind of like been established at that point. Because then they made ODST, and that didn't do nearly as well. But I think like almost rightfully so, it didn't do well. I don't think they marketed it super well, but then it wasn't like if you played the campaigns of all the Halos, ODST really stands out as it's nothing like the other ones. Um, it doesn't follow Chief. It tells a bit of backstory. I think like backstory of 3. And it might have some little backstory of like behind 2. It's been a lot of years since I've played it. But then they made Halo Reach, and that one did really well. And again, like I think the multiplayers for those games specifically did really, really well. But then the stories were really good, and the Forge was awesome. But then my understanding, now this is where I think some of the details might be a little bit wrong, but from my recollection, Bungie was done. They didn't want to make any more Halos. They
That's
told their story.
Yeah, that's where divert, like now you don't have, like again, I don't know nothing about like the people who anything about really Halo, but like it's like they had a story they wanted to tell, they told it, and they were fans of it while they were creating it, so that's why they all hit. And then somebody came in and just wanted to capitalize on this fan base that existed, and it's like
Yeah.
you're not creating from a fan of the thing. Even if you are the creator, you're still a fan of the story.
Mm-hmm.
And if there isn't any more story that you want to tell, you're just doing it to capitalize on this thing, you're going to
Yeah.
fall flat.
Yeah, because then, again, my recollection is they were kind of done, and Bungie, I don't think they were necessarily owned by Microsoft, but Halo was it was an Xbox exclusive, right? And I think Microsoft really wanted them to make another one, and I don't think that they were really going for it, and they were at the time either ready to start producing and releasing the Destiny games. Like Destiny 1 was phenomenal, and everyone loved Destiny 2. I never played Destiny 2. But they were like ready as a company to move on to their next major project. And I don't think Microsoft was too excited about that, because that meant that one of their big cash cows was going to go away. So again, I don't know the details, but then like the game, the franchise, the entity, the title, whatever it's called, was acquired by 343 Industries, and then they made Halo 4. And it's been a long time since I played that one. But I don't think that one definitely doesn't hit like the first couple.
Yeah.
And I think that they were just kind of trying to sell a game, and then they might have made another one, and again, it's just kind of whack. In the vein of like a good couple of early ones is the Gears of War games, and
Yeah.
again, you're not much of a gamer, so you don't really
Yeah, I
know
never
too
really
much.
played Gears of War.
But the first 3 Gears of War games, like chef's kiss, phenomenal. The first one was amazing, especially when it came out. It was like revolutionary almost. And then 2 came out and 3 came out, and then I don't know the company that makes Gears of War, but I think that they kind of were like done telling their story, because I
Yeah.
think by the end of 3 they like finished the story of like Marcus Phoenix and his crew or whatever. And then I feel like they made another one, and it never really did well. They just recently remastered the first one. I have to go and play it.
Yeah, that's just about like leave it like. I wonder if had they just left it there when that original story was ended, if it would have had a longer impact just in society, because it had this cap on it and you didn't burn them out just trying to run on. That's like when like the big machine gets involved and like just like takes this thing over to try to make more money versus like
Yeah.
letting it just sit there. And then had the creator of the first 3 been in like 10 years been like, oh, I know a story I want to tell, and like it might have hit better than had they just continued running it on.
Yeah. Also, I think this works a little bit better with games and movies and music and TV shows and stuff, but like remakes and stuff. I think it works really well with games because as like the technology advances, graphics get better, coding gets better, all this stuff like improves. So like remaking or remastering a game works really well. So like the first Gears of War was really good, and then I think the remake, I don't think it like blew up per se, but it was a lot of years past, and then they remade the first one probably to try and capitalize on the franchise.
Yeah.
But like something like that, I think works really well because you're able to like, as long as you don't diverge from the original, and you just like remake it so it's got better graphics. And that works really well, and like you're kind of doing that for the fans per se, but it like someone like me who played the original, I'd love to play it with beautiful graphics.
It doesn't like taint the story by doing that, or like ruin it. It just it just like kind of again is servicing the fans, but in a good way where you're not ruining the story. You're just giving them a better experience to like reconsume what they already like were fans of.
Yeah. I was just curious because you're like the creative guy, and I was just thinking.
Yeah. I think I personally like when there's an ending. Like you should leave them wanting more. Like ending the story, whether it is a good ending or you leave it somewhere where it's like a cliffhanger, but like leaving it so they want more, and then you can always come back to it, but it has to come back with intention, like with purpose. Like if they made a new Sopranos, like don't just pick up just to like service these people who just wanted that ending, and just like end like Breaking Bad ends nice, and it's like,
that's a good one.
and like and it like and it, something about leaving it there and having this like just like that's it, that's all, like that's the story. It really, I think, makes a bigger cultural impact when you have that thing versus just like burning them out to it. Where Fast and Furious obviously impacted culture and like like everyone knows it, but had it just ended at a certain point versus like being this run-on story, like people want like a finale. They want like a, even if they are left like wanting more, but like having this thing run on, they just start to almost care, but not care about it anymore. And it's like that's the worst thing you could do is the people who are fans of it not care about the thing anymore.
Yeah.
Versus like I'll talk about Kingdom Hearts and I'll talk about like my favorite movies forever because it's just this like more impactful thing.
Here's another good one, and you can probably partake in this one because I know that you've at least watched the first season. Is Sword Art Online. The hill that I feel like I would die on is I think that they should have stopped after the first season. And my like reasoning is it's called Sword Art Online. Sword Art Online is only in the first season. And it's only for like the first half of the season, and then the second half they kind of like are more in the real world and they're doing some other stuff and they like jump into some other shit. But I think that they should have stopped personally after the first season, because the whole, at least to me, what I can recall when they were like, before they dropped the show and they were like hyping it up and talking about it and everything was like, near future with technology and stuff, game system. It's like full dive. You go into the game, and now these people, there's a couple thousand people, it's like 10, 20,000 people went into this game, and they're stuck in the game. And if they die in the game, they die in real life. And that was a cool premise. And then after the first season, that
Yeah.
whole plot device is gone. They just
Yeah,
got
and
rid of it.
and then it just goes back to just becomes a run on, and you're like you lose the, like you burn people out, and then like you lose the people who are actually fans of it because they're burnt out.
Like, don't get me wrong, big fan, so I watched all of it, and I
Yeah.
thought the movies were cool, but honestly, I thought they should have stopped after the first season because they told the story that they wanted to tell. You know, they had Kirito be the protagonist they wanted. He had him be the hero by the end of it, and blah blah blah, and like the in-game Sword Art Online content, I thought was the peak of the show.
Yeah.
And then they got to the end of the first season, and then they dropped a second one. And I'm sure maybe the creator had more he wanted to tell.
Yeah.
But like, it always seemed more forced to me with this show. You know?
Yeah. So just like like leaving. Yeah, like you should leave people wanting more.
I mean, like, I'm sure people make the argument for shows like Attack on Titan, and they feel like a lot of people were very unhappy with the ending. I thought it was fine.
But even people who I've heard who are unhappy with the ending, it's like had it run on and continued, you'd
Yeah.
probably have lost more people than just the fans. Even people who complain about not liking the ending, I'm sure not liking the ending didn't make them not fans of the whole show.
Yeah, I think a lot of the frustration there is they wanted a different ending.
Yeah.
They wanted it to be a different way.
Yeah, but even that I think is better than burning them out and letting it run on.
Yeah, because they kind of pushed that a little bit. You know, they dropped three seasons, and then they were like, we're doing one more season, and then they split that into like 2 seasons.
Yeah.
And it kind of like starting to like burn people out because there was a little too much.
Yeah.
But I loved that show.
Yeah.
I loved that show.
All right.
Yeah, I thought it would be an interesting.
Yeah.
Because not to force you to sit here while you take a piss, but like, because I watched that and then I never really thought about it as deeply as I thought about it last night, because the ending kind of left me like, huh. Like, it was the original's ending I thought was good, and then they like kind of retconned some of it. I wouldn't say they retconned it, but they like with some of the movies they like changed some things, and then some of the movies are like non-canon, I think. But it was like a sadder ending. Spoiler alert for Code Geass. I'm gonna tell you, I would recommend watching it anyways.
Yeah.
Lelouch dies at the end of the original, so like it's a sad ending. And then they had like a sad ending to this. The main character doesn't die, but there are deaths that really like make you more sad. So like that was cool, but I was really unimpressed with the sequel of it, and it made me think
and
more
it kind
on
of like
stuff.
goes back, just like taints the thing of it, and it makes you and it kinda
I'm
just
probably gonna go back and watch
brings
the
it out,
original anyways, because
Yeah.
I love that so much. I recommend checking that out.
Maybe I'll start that one and watch that one.
I give it a shot. At least the first 2 seasons. You don't really have to watch anything else. And then one of the movies was really good because they're like, one movie like adds to the ending a little bit. It's more fan serving in the sense that like, I think that some people really weren't happy with the way that the show ended. So they kind of like add some details that kind of changed a little bit of the ending of the show. I liked it because I won't spoil that in case you end up watching it. But I don't know. I love that show. I love that show. But all right, I'll let you get back to this edit.
All right. Well, that was episode 4. A nice little more of a not as deep one today, nice surface one. Let you take a break for a week off
Yeah, that was
of
a crazy last episode.
the super deep talk. But yeah, if you're making something, make it with intention. I guess that's the point.
I'd say that's a good point to
The
make.
conclusion we've come to on this one is, if you're gonna create something, like you can create as many or as much as you want of it, as long as it has intention and you're not creating it to capitalize on a fan base that is there.
Yeah, as long as it comes from your heart.
Facts. Well, like, comment, and subscribe. As always, every Wednesday, we drop every Wednesday, so make sure you tune in. You can listen on wherever you listen to podcasts. You can obviously watch here on YouTube, and I think you can watch on Spotify too. But yeah, appreciate you guys. As always, this is Two Brothers in a Room.
Two brothers in a room.